The next thing, Dave, more rumors abound of James Harden. We've already talked about him maybe going to the Philadelphia 76ers. And there's rumors that James Harden has told the Rockets, trade me. Basically, straight up, I want out of Houston. I don't want to be here no more. So the first tweet by Woj was ESPN sources with Ramona Shelberg and Zach Lowe. As Houston's James Harden considers his future with franchise, one possible trade destination is rising to the top of the list, Brooklyn. The idea of reuniting with KD and joining Kyrie Irving is resounding with Harden. He then quoted that and said, sources, the Rockets continue to tell teams that they plan to run it back with Harden this season. So far, there have been no trade discussions between the Rockets and the Nets. Dave, at all this season, does a trade get done where James Harden joins the Brooklyn Nets?
I love the idea of this trade happening because the assets are there to make it happen. You know, when we talk about the Sixers deal, we're like, okay, well, they would have to give up like a Ben Simmons plus pieces. Like, I don't see a deal getting done, like we said, with just the scraps of, you know, Josh Richardson, a Toby, or an Al Horford in future. So when you have a James Harden deal and there's like, okay, well, you could clearly see how like Spence or Karras and Jared Allen would be attractive pieces to a team where we've now talked in the last week, they're going to lose Russell, they're going to lose Harden. Like, this is a team that needs to rebuild, and they can get some great young or prime assets who can help them right now, but also
makes those Thunder picks even more valuable that the fucking Thunder have from Houston.
Maybe. But also they'll be a promising team. It's not like they're going to the very bottom of the league, but obviously losing 2 All-Stars and 2 MVPs from your roster means you're going to be considerably worse. But also on the other side means Rocco, PJ Tucker for sale, baby. Yeah. Huge deals. Sorry, I get distracted because of the deals. But no. The Nets makes perfect sense. Like, I understand the concerns of, well, can Kyrie Irving play off ball? Well, that's when Kyrie Irving thrived. Kyrie Irving was his best when he had to play next to LeBron James, who's able to be the secondary guy on that team, incredible ball handler, can score at will, knock down dirty shooter. Like, yeah, I think that James Harden will be able to work pretty well with him. Obviously, their defense at the guard position will be pretty weak, but let's be honest, guard defense isn't exactly required at this point in the NBA. It's a benefit, but by no means is it something where you have to do it. If you have 3 superstars, the caliber of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden, I don't give a fuck how much defense you play. You're going to win the majority of your games.
Well, Dave, like I was thinking today, of course Kyrie Irving would love this deal because, you know, Kyrie needs to ride coattails to win a championship.
Oh, he was already riding Kevin's.
Yeah, he's riding Kevin's. Now he doesn't have to do anything because James will be there too.
He's got to knock down shots.
Or do both of them need to ride KD's coattails to a title?
Oh,
that could be both.
KD rode coattails to get his
I don't know, man. He was the finals MVP when they won with Golden State. But I mean,
been there without Steph, Clay, and Dre.
Just to make the contract work, by the way, and this is without picks or anything, the Nets would need to give up a combination of LeVert, Allen, Dinwiddie, and then Zana Musa. So they would need like
Zana Musa has already been moved.
So like a trade like that. I thought
they had what's his face? Big wing, Taurean Prince.
So basically how it is LeVert and Allen would be the main. Then you need either a Dinwiddie or a Prince because they're around the same 13, 11. And then you need someone like, I'm looking at Trade Machine. That's why I put Musa in there. A Musa, Rodion's, like somebody who's at least $1.5 million in salary to make it work. Like that's what they need.
Yeah, I think it's Prince more likely than Spence. I think Spence stays. He seems pretty close.
I only threw Spence in because there's the rumors about the Mavericks wanting Spencer Dinwiddie.
I think that might be a separate deal. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, one piece at a time, baby. One piece at a time. They're building themselves a championship out there in Brooklyn. I love it. So yeah, Prince, Jared Allen, and Karis LeVert, and two firsts, and Marooks.
Rodion's Kurucs.
Rodion's. Oh, Kurucs, yeah. Yes, obviously he's in his own headspace. He's had allegations and all those shenanigans too, which were proven false, but still it fucked with his brain. So I'm happy for him to get a fresh start somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I think that plus 2 firsts and a swap. Yeah.
And a pick swap?
Yeah, 2 firsts and a pick swap probably. That package, 2 firsts and a pick swap for James Harden feels about right. I mean, you're never going to get 100% return on what you give.
Yeah.
Like, could it be 3 picks and a swap? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just the question. Do you think that James Harden more or less valuable than the Paul George deal? I think the Paul George deal serves as a precursor to knowing that maybe we shouldn't give up this much to get someone like that, because what if it doesn't turn out and, you know, you're looking in 2 years and going, well, we're pretty fucked. So I think 2 firsts or 3 firsts is the max.
Yeah.
And again, Karras, player in his prime, good producer.
That's why I feel like maybe
Allen,
not a lot of picks, because you're getting Karras, you're getting a Jared Allen. Now, Jared Allen, the interesting thing is, unless there's an extension that I don't know about, and I'm just looking here.
No, you got to pay the man.
3.9 is what he's making now. He'll be a free agent at the end of the year.
He wants Clint Capella money on record. Clint Capella.
It's funny that the Rockets would then trade for him.
Right? I mean, like, it works, though. So, hey, maybe they're thinking if they do this deal, they can keep Russ on the team and roll it out with a Russ, Karras, Rocco, PJ, Jared Allen lineup.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ugly, but it would win some games. Probably be good enough for fighting for the 8th.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't be his favorites for the playoffs, but
there's smoke screens all around, and I feel like this is not one, though.
You think this is legit?
I think that if they're trading one, either Russ or James, they're trading Westbrook. Like, that's who they're trading. I think James is stuck, honestly. For at least this year, I think he's stuck. Like, I don't think they're going to move him unless this year is so bad to where they're like, wow, we can't even make it to the middle of the West with just James Harden. Fuck it. We are entering the build. Because,
I'm pretty sure that James Harden and Russ would both be at the level where they just fucking don't give a shit on the court if they don't get traded. Like, if they want out, those are the kind of public figures who can just be like, I won't fucking play for you. Like, they'll either like hold out or they will just actively sandbag a la Vince Carter in Toronto. They're like, oh, you won't trade me? Fuck you.
Sad thing is, I wouldn't put it past any of those two to be like that. Like, there's the part of me that wants to go, oh man, there's the good character that they wouldn't do. No, I agree that it wouldn't happen.
They had a great relationship with Mike D'Antoni.
He's gone.
That was taken away from them. Their game plan now is new head coach, new front office, new direction. The whole system that they had was built on and predicated around Mike D'Antoni and figuring out how to get the best out of these guys. Now, I'm sorry that I don't trust, the next guy up to put in position the right players and the right offensive scheme to make this team better. I just don't believe that. I think that they had done everything they could to try to make that work. And, they had a couple of great stretches in the last 5 years, but it's time. They got to blow it up. And I think they've got incredibly valuable assets. I think they should be looking at what OKC have done. Like, we can do that. Like, we can do exactly what they did. So
I got it, Dave. You're good.
Yeah. Thank you.
I was like, Dave's talking. I got it. And looking at the draft picks, this year's is obviously in Denver. This is talking about Houston. 2021, they only have their own pick if they finish top 4 picks, so top 4 protected.
If they sell the team, they sure as fuck good.
They have their pick in 2022, 2023, and then basically 2024, it's top 4 protected, or it's OKC's. Top 2025, it's top 10 protected, or it's a pick swap with OKC. And then 2026, it's top 4 protected, or it's in OKC's hands.
Yeah, so I mean, they need to go collect assets. They've got 2 MVPs on their team, and they've got 2 of the best role players in the NBA on their team. Make shit happen. You're not winning a championship with this roster without having the right coach. They don't have the right coach to win with this team. So move pieces.
I was shocked when, nothing against Silas and anything, but I was shocked when it was like, wait, who did the Rockets hire? Like, it was just one of those moves where I didn't feel like that was the move you make when you've got Russ and James on this team and want to push for a title, where it was like, you look at the 76ers, they go ahead and they bring in Glenn Rivers. You go ahead and see, I'm trying to think, like the Nets, like theirs was a tricky one, but I'm not going to say it's a bad one with Steve Nash, because it's almost like we're thinking a la with Steve Kerr of like, you know what, he worked with the Warriors. Maybe he's going to be like that same kind of a coach for Kevin Durant. It'll work that way. Like, they didn't go out and do that. They brought in a guy where it was like, wait, who did they bring in?
Well, he worked with stars before, you know.
He wasn't on my radar at all to be getting a coaching job. That's the thing.
Again, it's the same philosophy as football. We talk about the most valuable football coach right now on the market upcoming is Eric Bieniemy, correct?
Yes, Bieniemy.
Because he runs the best offense in football. Well, the best offense in basketball last year was the Mavericks. Well, Steven Silas was the assistant coach for the Mavericks.
Good point.
And supposedly had some hands in what happened there. So I think rightfully or wrongfully, he gets, you know, the credit rub from being with that Mavs organization. So
good point.
I mean, I understand. Luka Doncic, we talked about, you know, how much his game could be modeled
generational talent.
Oh, generational talent for sure. Already on track to be one of the greatest NBA players of all time. But we talked about how his game had similarities you could pick out to a James Harden.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, it makes sense. It was not on my initial list. I did not know that he was looking for a head coaching job, nor would I have had him pegged as a top candidate. But I understand it. I just don't think that he's going to be able to duplicate that level of offense, or with these pieces out on the floor, be able to get them to a high-ranked playoff position.
Are the Rockets then just hoping of a let James be upset right now, want to trade, let's wait till we get to training camp in like less than a week? Because basically
there's no time.
It's basically how fast shit's going. Basically, we'll be in training camp in a week from now. Coach will talk to him, and maybe like seeing the new coach, being with the new coach, that'll temper things down for the season. And like, basically, is it, I'm going to word it this way and it's going to sound bad, but there's no way to make this sound good. Is it basically the parent where it's like the kid's having a tantrum and it's just like, nope, just let him do it. Just let him do it. He'll work himself out. And basically, is that what this is? Where it's like, I know you're upset. You want to trade. We're just going to let you stew. And then when you get to practice in a week, it'll all work out.
That might be what they're hoping for. But again, contracts on this team, PJ Tucker's last year of his deal, he's $7.9 million. He's pissed that he's that cheap anyway. We've already heard that. Like, he wants a long-term deal. And he's already an old man, but he still deserves like probably closer to 12, 13 mil, maybe 14 even, some would say. Daniel House obviously couldn't keep in his pants in the bubble, but he is a valuable player. So he's out there for 2 years. Roko's got 2 years under contract. Eric Gordon, I forgot that horrible deal they had to sign him to. He's under contract till 2023, making just shy of $21 million.
Yep.
And then obviously the big deals with Harden and Russell Westbrook. So you've got a couple of key pieces, but I think that you can literally move on from Harden, Westbrook. If someone wants Gordon, best of fucking luck, but I think you're going to end up sitting on that one for a couple of years. Roko, PJ Tucker, like, I think they can legit flip four pieces and reload their entire roster with talent and picks and be set on a new track for, 4 years from now to compete, rather than running into the ceiling of my superstars hate the front office. They don't like the coaching decision we made, and they want out of town, and all this angst building in that organization.